ATTE inbound.
Hello there.
Hey guys, and welcome back to Battlefront Updates and some more very exciting footage from the event last week where I went over to DICE together with a couple of other game changers to capture some Obi-Wan and Geonosis footage. And in this video, it's all about Obi-Wan Kenobi, the hero that has probably been requested the most for a very long time, and he has finally arrived to the game, or well, he arrives on Wednesday to be more specific, but now I'm gonna tell you all about him, show off his abilities, talk about my opinions, and show off all the gameplay I have, because as you can imagine, the gameplay is a bit limited. I mean, there was a lot of us at that event, and there was only one person who could play Obi-Wan at a time, so once I managed to get him a couple of times, I figured I'd let other people use him. So I've got about, I think, 5 or 6 minutes of footage in Galactic Assault on Geonosis, 5 minutes of Naboo hangar footage in Heroes vs Villains, and then a couple of minutes of arcade as well. So I'm gonna chuck all of that in here, and then just simply talk about the different abilities, how they work, my thoughts on them, and similarly. I also do have some footage right here that you can see of all the victory poses, and here are also the 4 emotes available for him.
Your move. The strongest defense is a swift and decisive offense. Only a Sith deals in absolutes. Hello there.
So now let's dive into the abilities and how it felt playing him, simply put. One thing I want to note here that I got confused by at first, and that you will be confused when you watch the gameplay. They have changed the way the stamina works, where the stamina bar now goes from full and it goes down when you use your lightsaber or block. So they basically just swapped around how it was before, and I think this makes a lot more sense. But when you're used to the stamina bar filling up instead of going down, it will be confusing in the beginning, because I thought my stamina bar was stuck and wouldn't go down. So just keep that in mind while you're watching the gameplay. So let's start off by going over the abilities, and then I will give you my overall thoughts on Obi-Wan after that. So the first time I played him was in Galactic Assault, and that's obviously a very tough place to test him out, because especially on Geonosis, it's very open, there's vehicles, there's a lot of snipers, and so on. But the first ability is the Force Push, all-out push as it's called. And this ability I was very pleasantly surprised about, because I thought it was gonna be very similar to Luke's Force Push, but it really isn't. Because first of all, it does not have as wide of a hit radius, but it reaches longer. And if you hold it down, you can see this actual white outline growing bigger and bigger, meaning that you can hit further back. And if you hold it until it's fully charged, it will automatically trigger the push, so you can't just stand there with a fully charged push and then use it, if that makes sense. And I also talked to Guillaume, who said that the ability actually does a little bit more damage than Luke's Force Push, which I think is very good, because that means that you will be one-shotting all infantry except possibly heavies. I am not entirely sure if you will be one-shotting heavies or not, but I'm sure you can equip a star card otherwise. But the thing that I really liked is the fact that you can constantly aim this while it's charging up, and you do this by moving your aim basically. So once you start charging up, you don't have to use it where you initially aimed when you started charging up. This is very important, as otherwise this would be a very clunky ability that would make you incredibly vulnerable, because you can still use this instantly if you want to. You don't have to charge it up like I'm doing in most of the clips here. And I know I'm using it really stupidly here. Sometimes I don't charge it up fully, sometimes I use it in a really bad position. But again, this was the first time I was trying him, and I really wanted to test out the abilities properly. But once I got used to it, and I even got some pretty sick kills in Heroes vs Villains, like you can see right here, I really enjoyed it, and it does feel like you can get some really good multi-kills, especially because you can reach so far with it, which has always been kind of a problem with abilities that obviously as a lightsaber wielder you can't reach very far, but this push reaches a lot longer than Luke's does. So overall I thought it was really good, and I think with some more practice it can become even better, considering that I managed to do pretty well with it after only 10 minutes of use. And secondly, we have the Restrictive Mind Trick, a quite interesting ability that disables all the abilities and the ability to dodge if you hit someone with it. So this was something that I found to be a lot more useful against heroes, because I used it kind of stupidly in Galactic Assault, where I would literally walk up in front of some droids, use that and hoped that it would help for some reason, but obviously they can still shoot me, so I'm not sure what I was thinking. But at least they couldn't roll, and at least they couldn't throw their grenades on me, so that definitely helped a lot. But in Heroes vs Villains it was incredibly helpful, and I have to say that it's a little bit confusing on the other end, because the sound when you get hit by the mind trick is the same as raise, which made it very confusing, because so far I know that whenever I get hit by that mind trick sound, I need to kind of invert the controls in my mind, and obviously that doesn't work if it's Obi-Wan's mind trick. So that was something that caught me off guard a couple of times. Maybe that's a good thing, something you need to learn, and something that's just a tactical element in the gameplay. But I think I would have preferred to have a different sound for that. But other than that, using the mind trick, very straightforward. It does exactly what you expect it to do, and it was very effective in hero game modes. And lastly, we have the defensive rush. This was an ability that I was a little bit worried about, because we all know that Grievous Unrelenting Advance had some issues with the blocking, but that has been fixed now in this patch. But I will be talking more about that in a specific Grievous video. But the defensive rush was actually really effective in multiple ways, because it seemed like it blocked like it was supposed to. Again, very hard to test in such a short amount of time, but whenever I'd rush towards someone, they rarely shot at me and did any damage unless they threw a grenade or similarly. And another thing that I noticed that was very important was the fact that the hitbox of the lightsaber was very big, so sometimes someone would even be out of range for me, or at least it looked like they were out of range for me, but they would still get hit by that defensive rush and die. And I think that's pretty good, because I think that's a lot better than someone kind of glitching through your lightsaber and not taking any damage, versus now they made the hitbox fairly large, which means that as long as you run fairly close to an enemy, they will get hit by the defensive rush, and it also seems to deal a significant amount of damage, because I did get quite a lot of kills with it in Galactic Assault. So overall, I thought all the abilities worked well, and that's something that you could very easily detect with Grievous in the last patch, that a lot of the abilities did not work properly. So that was something I obviously had my eyes peeled for when I used Obi-Wan, to see if the abilities worked like intended, and I don't think there was a single time where I used one of the abilities and felt like, man, why didn't that hit, or why didn't that block, or something like that. So that was very good to see. And I didn't hear from anyone else they're having issues with these abilities either. So it does feel like Obi-Wan will hopefully come out bug-free. I mean, I'm sure there's going to be some minor bugs that are a lot rarer, but I didn't notice any issues at all with him overall. The only thing that I heard you could have issues with is that the force push, and currently you can not only aim sideways, but you can also aim it up. So that's a very good addition, because like I said, you can aim with your mouse when you charge it up. But if you aim that down into the ground and use it, it will actually go into the ground and you won't hit them. I kind of don't see that as a massive issue, because if you aim down into the ground, that's kind of your fault, isn't it? But I think that's not how it's supposed to be later down the line. It's kind of gonna be either you shoot it forward, sideways, or upwards, but you can't shoot it down into the ground. But I thought I'd bring that up anyways, in case one of you think you use it forward, but then you aim down into the ground and it doesn't hit anyone. But again, I never did that, and they told me about that afterwards, so if they wouldn't have told me about that issue, I don't think I would have even noticed it, because I tend to aim with my mouse where I want to hit, which meant that, well, I hit most of the time. As for the stamina and the lightsaber combat overall, it felt good. I mean, you could feel that he had a slightly more stamina than some of the other heroes, and his deflect was also very good. I got a couple of deflection kills in Galactic Assault here against the droids. So overall, I thought Obi-Wan was a really fun hero to use. He has abilities that I genuinely think are fun, which I think is very important. All three of them have their uses, and both in Galactic Assault and in Heroes vs Villains, although some of them will be better at the other game mode, of course. And it depends on how you spec out your star cards as well. I think I was using star cards for the defensive rush throughout all of these clips, if I remember correctly, but now afterwards I kinda wanna try them for the force push, both for the length and for the actual charge up time. And I can imagine people getting some sick multi-kills in narrow corridors with that in Galactic Assault. But I think those are all the thoughts I have regarding Obi-Wan Kenobi. And I still have a few more minutes of gameplay that I will leave you with, both for Arcade and Heroes vs Villains. But if you have any questions at all, please leave them in the comments below, and I'll make sure to respond to as many of them as possible. I'll probably do some Q&A streams now on Monday and Tuesday as well before the update is out, because I'm sure there's going to be a lot of questions that many of you want to hear the answer for, and that I have forgotten to bring up in this video. But yeah, thank you very much for watching, and enjoy the rest of the gameplay.
And I will defeat you again. Watch your step.
No escape.
Target spotted.
Value.
It seems I've gotten into quite a mess now, haven't I?
Target identified.
General, we have to stop meeting like this. The battle's not won yet. And now, panic. Maul. Perhaps this time will be the end of it. Oh my. And here I thought Master Yoda was sending me somewhere relaxing. Let's speed this up. Keep your guard up. Don't mind me. Sorry for the mess. Please look where you're going. I understand you've had some troubles recently. No time for pleasantries. There is no chaos, there is harmony.